friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hello APGD, a neighborhood podcast about the Audubon Park Garden District in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Michael Lothrop, and today we're speaking with Christina Martin, owner and operator at the Frame Masters Gallery, located at 2800 Corinne Drive. If you can't make it into the shop, you can also visit them online at fwgorlando.com or on Instagram and Facebook at the Frame Masters Gallery. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to be a sponsor, please feel free to message me on Instagram at HelloAPGDPod. Thank you for listening. This episode is brought to you in part by Trevor Brown, Audubon Park resident and trusted Central Florida realtor with Fannie Hillman and Associates, proudly serving their clients for over 40 years. For listings, market trends, helpful home buyer and seller tips, email directly to Trevor at fanniehillman.com or find him on Instagram at TrevorBrown407. And with me today is Christina Martin, framer, artist, fabricator, carpenter, installer, and owner at the Frame Masters Gallery in Audubon Park. Christina, welcome.
Hi.
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 Welcome. So, Frame Masters has been in operation since 1976.
Yes.
And looking at your shop, like there are so many options for how kind of a frame is constructed. You have the color, the shape, the matting, the molding, and the molding basically starts as long sticks that you cut and assemble. Everything is custom made. Then you have the type of glass. You hand paint things, you gold leaf things in cases, you add lighting, all of these things. It's like, it's amazing just looking at your Instagram and seeing kind of all of the different things that you've created. And it's not just art and mirrors and photographs that you're mounting. You have actual objects in there, sometimes a two-sided frame. I saw somebody had their lucky shoes
Yes,
put
the
into a
Eagles.
box. Yeah, tell me about that.
A client came in and she had the pair of shoes that she wore when the Eagles last won the Super Bowl.
Her lucky shoes.
Her lucky shoes.
And they're high-heeled.
Yes.
Platform.
Yes, all done out.
Yeah.
So she was like, well, I have to frame them because we won. Then I don't blame her. But she wanted it in a frame where it was something that she can open up for the next Super Bowl. So she was like, when we go again, we want to be able to take them out. But at the same time, she wants them in somewhere where she could see it. She enjoyed it. They're preserved. But
Eagles fans are very serious.
good access. Right there.
All right.
So that's where that's where I'm from. Is
there's the rest of the story.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, for sure, Eagles fan, Flyers fan, I'm in.
Yeah.
Phillies fan, yeah.
Yeah.
So it worked out that it was my team too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did they know that as they came into the shop, or was that a discovery?
She did know. She
Okay.
was aware. Yeah. She was fully aware.
So she entrusted you to make the best display possible for these.
Absolutely. She just dropped them off and said, "This is what I want. Make it happen." And so I went to the extent, that box is actually really cool. It has a soft enclosure, so when you open the lid and close the lid, it doesn't just slam.
Okay.
Like, to that detail.
Wow.
I'm a very detail-oriented person.
Yeah,
so
clearly.
It's like, when she opened, and it's gotta do a nice. It's gotta feel right.
Yeah, and I didn't consider the fact that the shoes could be removed.
Yeah.
So it's on display, but also, when she needs her lucky shoes.
She can pull them out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't made to kind of reveal that. It just looks like a solid box from all sides.
Totally.
And then and it's magnetic, so there's no visible anything. Yeah, just pop it open, take the shoes out, and put them back in for safekeeping.
That is so wild. Yeah, and so I've seen sports jerseys, maps, music posters. I love that you had a Fest 20 poster. I had Richard, who is the artist, Horse Bites. He's been on the podcast, and he lives in the neighborhood. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
he's done all of the Fest art since I think Fest 5 or 6.
Very cool.
Yeah, he lives right on Corinne Drive, just down the way.
Who knew?
Small world, right?
Yeah, very small.
Yeah, and
Very small.
that was a really cool poster. That was Fest 20, I believe, that you had framed.
Yes.
So I always go to Fest when I can, at least. I've been to most of them since 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal. It's sort of a cultural, it's a magnet. People fly from all over to go to Fest.
And at that point, it's a tradition for you.
Right.
You can't not attend.
It's true, yeah. And you get so much out of it. There's just like such community, and Gainesville's such a cool town, just like rich music history and so many great local bands, and people travel all over, from all over to play Fest and to attend. So
For sure. Good time.
yeah. So that poster was definitely frame worthy. So I loved seeing that. It was really cool. And tons of other band posters and show posters that you get in. I love seeing that stuff. You've had some Disney relics. Tell me about those.
I mean, everything that I get in is pretty much all over the board. There's nothing. So many people ask me, do you get a lot of the same items?
Mm-hmm.
And no. At any time, I have probably about 100 open orders, and nothing is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the Disney or music or jerseys,
it's the spectrum, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's
all
just
the things.
everything, and that's what I like, is that I'm not just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Everything that comes in is different.
Mm-hmm.
Or something, whether the design element, they give you freedom to do whatever you want, or, it's not always just cut this wood, make it a frame, and, it's not an assembly line by any means.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's good. And what has helped me is I have a bit of a construction background, by a little bit, kind of a lot.
Okay.
And I'm able to do things that are not that basic. This is all I want. Or when people want to elevate it and say, what else can we do to this?
Yeah.
I'm able to, the options are endless. So.
And that makes sense for the installation part as well, right?
Well, and it's funny because I started out only doing installation more for commercial businesses, and more things that to me are, you got to think about.
Okay.
But when people found out how much installation I did, I'm booked out for months.
Wow.
To get up for residential and commercial. And most of the time, the majority of it is you're just, hey, I want these straight down the wall. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing special about,
Sure.
Or I shouldn't say special, but there's nothing.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not advanced. You're not doing any complicated
Right.
angles or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or, some people get really nervous about drilling into marble or
Mm-hmm.
anything that's not drywall. But when it comes to the projects, things are no different. It's either just straightforward, easy, or a little bit more complex. Even if it's been something outrageous, I've had someone say, "Well, I just want to frame the corners. I don't want the sides of the frame. I don't want the rails. I just want the corners." And
Yeah.
It's
We can do that.
yeah, I got to think about it, but sure, just
Yeah.
make a bunch of miters and reconnect it. Sure. So I do probably just as many repairs as I do new orders. And some of the things that people will come and repair with, a lot of companies have gone to polyfoam or even plastic or just cheaper material.
Yeah.
So if someone does come in with something like that, I'm like, it's not, I'm sorry. I used to take the time and help people out, but I've maxed myself out so much, the quality of it wasn't
Yeah,
there.
it's still not going to last if you reinforce it, and it's
Yeah.
made with bad materials that
Yeah.
are just
Yeah.
disposable, essentially.
For sure.
Uh-huh.
I've always kind of stood by that. If you're going to do it,
Yeah.
do it right the first time.
Yeah.
I don't
Do you measure twice and cut once?
Yeah, for sure.
Are there other adages that you apply that are just oh, I've got to do it this way. I've got to make sure that I have the plan or a certain step that you take that's if I don't do that, it's going to mess me up.
I mean, with anything, I guess there's always
There's so much technique, right?
yeah, of course you stay. I always tell people with anything I can't grow this. I can't stretch it. I don't have a magical wood stretcher in the back of my building.
Yeah.
So when
You
she cut
don't
it,
have one of
I
those?
don't. I
You
mean,
should get one.
yeah. So
Yeah.
first question too, like I thought about hiring people, and
Uh-huh.
the first question, and that hasn't been good to me so far. So
Okay.
I've been grateful and blessed that I can maintain it myself without having to hire someone.
Uh-huh.
But I think that would be my first question: is do you think you could find me go out, find me a wood stretcher, and you find one, you're hired.
Yeah.
That's really the one main thing is make sure cut one.
Yeah. You
'Cause
can't undo that.
Yeah.
You are stuck with that length, and it changes the whole project at that point.
Or you're buying new material.
You're
More
buying
material.
yes.
Yeah. Or not you. I would be.
Right.
Luckily, I got to knock on wood now.
Uh-huh.
And there's
There's some wood here. I got you. Uh-huh.
Luckily, I don't have that problem because
Yeah.
that's second. All that's second nature to me.
Tell me about your carpentry roots. Like, what were you doing initially? Were you doing like contractor work, or was it specific to framing?
Well, so even when I was younger, throughout schooling, I have always had a job, multiple jobs, but one job I had for a while was at custom framed places, and so I did that during schooling, high school, and onward.
Where was that?
Up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But my background more or less with construction, I went to Tyler Temple University and did art, and I also went to a school up in Pennsylvania called Bucks County Community College, and there I pride myself in being well-rounded.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when I went there, I took everything from glass blowing, welding, anything I could really get my hands on.
Yeah.
I love working with my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really knew what I wanted to do. I kind of just wanted to dabble in everything when I was younger.
Okay.
I had always helped my dad too with projects if we ever moved, just whether or not it was remodeling stuff, or I found myself a lot taking things apart because I wanted to know how they worked, how they operated. Got in trouble a lot for doing stuff like that. Always got the stuff back together.
Well, that's what counts, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
how
yeah.
much trouble can you get in if you put it back together?
It's true. But
yeah.
some things that are not like...
like it's never quite the same.
Or no, it's always the same. But so let's just say at the time when I'm younger, you spent like $50 on something for your kid.
Uh-huh.
At the time, that's a lot of money. And then here they are, you're looking at them and like, why is that in pieces? And I just wanted to know like how it worked.
That's awesome.
I'll put it back together.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, so
like so like brave and bold too, because it freaks me out to take something apart because I'm like, oh, this is never going to be the same, and it's going to like weigh on my conscience. So when you were young and adventurous, you started getting into that and kind of building up that confidence and that knowledge, and it seems like you've always had sort of a knack for it as well, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's super cool.
It's one of those things. It'll be good. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be good.
And you do.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely,
that's the thing. Yeah. And I mean, now we've got YouTube, so we can like learn how to unmistake our mistakes and how to do things properly and of those things, right?
I have like a love-hate relationship with YouTube.
Sure.
Because I forget in the middle of trying to figure something out, hey, why don't you jump on YouTube and see if there's a solution for that? Because I never had that outlet. Or I never, that wasn't a go-to. So I would definitely, later someone will be like, well, why didn't you YouTube it? And I'm like, may have taken me a minute, but I figured it out. I didn't need to YouTube it. But it would have been a smart thing to do.
Yeah. But you started
I don't think
all
about
of this
that.
before YouTube was a thing.
Yeah,
so it's not like second nature, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get on that. And
Do you have your own YouTube channel by now?
No.
Okay. Maybe that's the next.
I just signed up for YouTube a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Perfect timing to be talking about this. Now you're a little familiar with what is out there, and you can almost learn anything from YouTube. I've learned that in doing this podcast and talking about YouTube with some people who are tinkerers.
Yeah.
They're just like, you can absolutely do that, and if you make a mistake, you can learn how to correct it and that sort of thing. So I mean,
it's a great resource.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah. But you've done well without it all these years. So maybe it's I don't know,
But we
a
can
last
just move
resort.
that much forward if
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I use that resource.
Up to you, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like you're doing fine without it, so.
I just like, let's have a challenge. Yeah. But and then from schooling with projects and construction, when
Uh-huh.
I moved to Florida, I started working for. Have you ever heard of NASA?
Yes. Oh,
So-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked at NASA.
They do like rock work and themed attraction stuff.
Yeah.
My wife's kind of in that industry, so
Oh,
she
okay.
knows NASA really well, and I know it because of her too. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked there, and I literally, when I started there, I started out in the paint department, and I was like, I want to jump in the fiberglass department, learn a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Went to fiberglass,
Cool stuff.
kind of worked all over,
Mm.
ended up being like an assistant to the shop manager, where I had my hands in all the different shops, and then I ended up being a project engineer there. So again,
That's
I like,
awesome. Yeah.
I'm into
Just get right in there.
Yeah, I love everything. I like to know.
So cool.
Yeah, so when it comes to shop too, it's helped me because I can do wood, I can do metal, I can anything you say you want to do.
Fiberglass even.
Yeah,
Mhm.
let's do it.
That's cool.
So now, and I shouldn't say all that because I've backtracked on doing a lot of the specialty projects because
Yeah.
I
Takes
like
a lot of time, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And me being by myself,
Mhm.
I can maintain, I normally do a 2-week turnaround time. I'm starting to get to the point where we're getting a little past that between my vendors and just orders. But if people come in with specialty projects, it's like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know where else to send you. I can do it. But
It's
you'll
gonna
have
take
to,
some time.
it's going to take some time.
I'm so blown away that it's just you in the shop doing all of that stuff too. Like, I mean, that is incredible. I'm sure that it's just normal to you because you do it and you make it work.
Yeah.
But I think to most people, like, that is such an incredible story. Just scrolling through the past projects that you've done, it's just like, yeah, that's all you. You're like figuring out all of these things, and it all looks so great. I mean, it's beautiful stuff. It's really creative.
I do take a lot of pride in what I do. Someone
Yeah.
just told me the other day, okay, the fire department
Uh-huh.
does its annual walkthrough. So
Uh-huh.
they came through, and I have outgrown my spot a little bit, but I make it work just because it's been there at that location forever.
Yeah.
So
Since 79 even.
no, actually, it was on Curry Ford prior as a do-it-yourself frame shop.
Okay.
I don't even know if you knew these existed. I don't think there's any more. I would love to know if somebody has a do-it-yourself frame shop.
Yeah.
But it started out that you would go in there and you would do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like-
almost like one of those pottery places that
Yes,
like you
yes,
go
yes,
in
yes.
and wow.
And I'm going, man, I struggle thinking about hiring someone just more or less how the miters are cut. But I
Yeah.
can't imagine, like, let's use a saw, let's jump on this.
Uh-huh.
If they don't have a lot of background.
I mean,
But
that's
if they
putting a
did-
lot of trust in people.
Yeah, only
Like,
because of the finished product. Like when
Uh-huh.
you turn it over, everything's got to be on point.
Right.
But so
They could see how actually hard it is to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
something. But
there's a lot of things you don't think about that goes into it.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people are just like, make it happen. Like, or not, it'll be done in like a few minutes. Yeah, no, it doesn't quite work like that. I mean, I can do it pretty quickly, but it's not like a instant, my pizza's going to be done,
right. It's custom made. It's
Yeah.
not like you just pull something out from inventory in the back and slap
It's
it
ready to
together.
go.
Yeah.
But so the fire department came through.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm all over
No,
the
I
board
love it.
right now.
It's great.
I
This is
think
what-
I have to go back to like
This is
3 or
what
4
this
things.
is about. Yeah.
Oh God, it's horrible. Yeah, take a drink of this. The fire department came through,
Uh-huh.
and I'm thinking, oh man, I've got stuff, through some of my walkways, but I was impressed. I didn't even really. So the 2 guys came through this year, and he's like, he can't get over the fact that this is really ambitious of you. It's just you.
Yeah.
Like, so, because as he's walking
He's like
through,
pointing it out to
Yeah.
you as like, yes, I am aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just as I did. You're like, yes, I'm aware.
as
Uh-huh.
I'm
It's
just
me.
like, I'm like more thinking,
Uh-huh.
got my lights are good. I got 2 I only need 1 fire extinguisher, but I know I got a lot of wood. I got 2 in here. So I'm more
Uh-huh.
focused right now. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
good.
just like trying to divert their attention. Like, yeah, we're good, right? Yeah. All
But
right.
it was cool though. It was kind of a breath of fresh air that he was like,
Yeah,
it's really ambitious, and I couldn't. I was trying to, but I was still more concerned about, not that I
naturally.
should be,
No,
but
I know.
just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
you want to pass inspection, obviously. That's
yeah.
like a big concern, and you don't always know what those things are going to be. So
Right.
it's,
Well,
yeah,
and at the time I don't even know how many air hoses I had out and extension cords. And so I was like, it's just me here. I have no other employees. Don't need to worry about like trip hazard. Cause I don't like
sure.
nobody is ever in the back of my shop.
Right.
But so I was more
It's
focused
so
on that.
unique that way, too. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't think of any other place like that, honestly. Like, yeah,
Yeah, well, and that's what, and I never really thought about it in somebody else's perspective of saying that's ambitious of you that you do everything from, I'm the front of the shop. I design your stuff. I build your stuff. I see everything full. I'm ordering the material. I do every single aspect. I do my taxes. I do
yeah,
every aspect of my job. I don't have any subcontractor outside help in any way. The only thing I can ever control is how materials arrive to me, but every other aspect of my job I do control. I can control.
right.
So I've never thought about it in that way because I say I have 3 employees in my building. My first employee I say is my voicemail because I want to say 98% of the time, I will not answer the phone. Just because if I'm in front of you and the phone rings, I think it's rude as hell
Yeah,
to be like, hey, no, you're in front of me. I'm not,
sure.
I don't want to answer
That's
the
what
phone.
voicemail's for, right?
Exactly.
People understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I say, that's my voicemail. If you want to get back to me, I should make up a name for him or her.
Harriet.
Yes, Harriet.
Yeah.
They will take a message for me,
Uh-huh.
and I'll get back to you as soon as I do to get the voice message from Harriet.
Yeah.
So
I love that we named that just now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Harriet.
She's
So,
great.
she's great.
Yeah.
She's
I've talked to Harriet a couple times. So.
Yeah, okay,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like her a lot. She's always on point.
Uh-huh.
But occasionally there are some gaps in the voicemail where I'm like, oh, they missed a number, and I'll try and figure it out. But other than that, she's normally
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
The whole phones going to digital blows my mind. It's not a lamp, so it'll drop sometimes. And if people are leaving a voicemail, that's where it's like, oh, it went in because it's a digital.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like no such thing as POTS lines anymore.
They lost signal and they're not aware of it, so it's
Yeah.
just like, oh,
It's
like
gone.
here's my
Yeah.
number, and it's gone.
Yeah, and I'm
Oh.
like, crap.
Wow.
Might not be getting back to
Yeah.
that one, but
I mean,
But-
they'll hopefully try it again, but
Call
yeah,
back,
that's
yeah.
a big risk.
yeah, but other than that, she's a great employee. Love Harriet, absolutely love Harriet. My second one is my software, and
Uh-huh.
because I have literally there are hundreds of options and frames. I probably have over 500 even options and frames.
Wow.
From traditional frames, and then you have float frames for canvases, and then you have little fillets. Like there's such a selection there, and mats, glass, but it's all incorporated into my software. So I may
Wow.
know everything in my shop. I can tell you exactly. You can bring something in. I will think of the frame. I'll go right to it.
Yeah.
But I rely on my software I input the size, and it tells me the cost.
Oh wow.
So that's my second employee. I pay a monthly subscription for that,
That's
but I'm like, it's so
awesome.
worth it because
Yeah.
I don't have to. That's one less thing
Right.
I have to.
And you're not
yeah.
going to make a calculation mistake in that moment when you're quoting somebody, and you can quote them like right away. Like that's amazing.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's connected. I have with the frames. I have.
You got to keep that employee for sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's.
Is that's Melvin or?
Oh yeah, I like that one. Yeah, Melvin. And it's a small, and I have over 18 different vendors just in the frames. So for them all to be connected in one location and I don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my last employee,
Uh-huh.
I have a nice little CNC machine.
Yes.
So it can cut mats. The majority of what it does is it cuts my mats.
Uh-huh.
It can also do some fancy other things. It can do with little drawings or cutouts if you wanted. But I used to cut everything by hand.
Wow.
And I was like, yep, we are going to get this bad guy It's awesome.
There's a robot for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that from France? Is that the Cassisi?
No, that's my
okay.
V-nailer. Oh. Yeah, like that. So I have.
Did I say that word correctly?
You did.
Okay, wow.
You did.
All right, cool.
You did. I have a little bit of a tool problem.
I mean, it's a solution.
What do you mean a solution?
You have a tool solution to
Yes.
You're being the only person
my
there.
God.
So yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to remember that. So I like to say things just need upgrades. And
sure.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, I mean,
works.
I was following, and I saw when the Cassisi went down, and it was like, can we fix this thing? And the repair person was like, it's going to be difficult, but I think we can do it. I'm on this adventure with you. Like, this is exciting. That seems like a very useful machine.
Oh,
so.
it's mandatory.
Yeah.
But it was not exciting in the moment. Christmas time is
oh my gosh. Yeah.
my busiest time. So when that happened, it was one of those moments where it's like, I have some challenges right now. You want to add one? Sure. I won't turn down a challenge ever.
Because people need their holiday gifts, right?
Yes.
So they're like, yeah.
And that's one of those things that can't really be late because, and I'm a gift giver. I love giving people gifts.
It's
so
very
I get
nice.
it needs to, it can't be like 2 days later.
No, it's not the
machine,
same. Yeah, it's like a card
broke.
with like, you're going to get this cool thing.
Yeah.
It's like, that's tough.
And that can be cool.
Sure.
Gift cards and like are good. But if you can have it in the moment, that's just that much better.
Totally. And to be able to deliver that too, it's like, that's like pride in your work. And that's like the part super important.
Absolutely. It's all about the delivery. That's one thing is when most people walk in my shop, they have no idea. They can't see the final outcome. They're not really sure they rely on me to help make their decision of which way to go.
Yeah.
And then the delivery of, hey, this is what you made. That's like the best part of it. I mean, not that I don't love designing and building, but being a part of that person's, like, that's good. I wasn't expecting that. It's so much better than what I thought. Is like,
that's the celebration, right?
Yeah. It's that good feel.
It's like you enjoy the work, but also that celebration at the end, you get to do that with the customer.
Yeah.
Be like,
it's definitely a feel good moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's how you can keep this ambition going and this whole project that you're just like, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. The best part too is when people are like, oh, this just made me want to do. And then, it's such a feel good moment for them that they're like, they get excited about, they're not so much, because some people get really nervous about, I want to do something with this, but I'm not sure what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of times I'm like, man, too bad I don't serve like beer or wine in here, because it's hey, that's what you're walking into here for. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'll help guide you to figure out what it is you want. Because I know exactly when I see it.
You're their bartender of creative things. You're like their life coach of creative things.
Yeah,
you're guiding them, right? It's like a whole. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible just having all of these options and narrowing it down to like what their vision is. And, I'm sure you get some customers that are pretty indecisive in the moment too. And they're kind of like, I don't know what I want to do, but ultimately, I just want to be happy with it.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of tailor down like
what it is.
To what it actually is. It's going to make them happy.
Yes.
And like learn a little bit about them in order to get there too.
Yeah, because there's a million different ways to frame things. Whether or not it's just what look do you want at the end of the day. You can give me the same piece and I can make it look damn good in like 5 different ways.
Yeah.
But really, ultimately, it's
gotta be your or their way, right?
Yeah, which style fits you. Basically, my end result is when someone comes in is figuring out who they are and then creating the piece to what they're trying to say, but they don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
And then putting it together. And some customers come in and they drop their stuff and they're like, see you in 2 weeks. I'm like,
very straightforward. They know what they want. It's
they leave it to me.
Oh,
so they're like, I'll see you in 2 weeks. It'll be done.
Yeah. Wow.
Probably one of the best compliments I've ever received.
That's huge.
They're just like, you know what I like, you know what I want. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Call me when it's
that. Ready. Wow.
And then you'll have some people that do know this is all I want, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, so everybody is different, and
Sure.
everybody is different with what they pick. It's just finding the right framer, the right person to help you get point A to point B of, am I just the straightforward, I just want the simple black frame, or do I want something fun and wild?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can go as far out of the box as they can imagine. I mean, especially with your background and your experience, that like kind of anything is possible. Like one of the things that really jumped out when I was looking at your Instagram too was the two-sided zombie art, where it's like you have basically like a chain link fence like kind of covering the front of this like zombie face, and then it turns around and it's like broken out of that chain link fence.
On the that piece was really
It's
cool
wild.
because it was a solid piece that was front and back.
Uh-huh.
So, and you could just stick it in a regular float frame, but it was like, why not, add some elements to it? It's funny because that is actually, everything in my shop when it comes to all the frames on the wall, everything is wood. There is no polyfoam, there's no plastic, there's no
Wow.
MDF composition wood. It's all good quality wood because I cut everything in house.
Mm-hmm.
So since I'm cutting everything has to be, to a certain expectation for me.
Yeah.
But that frame, however, and I do have a rack of metal frames because metal does still exist, even though not too many people use it anymore.
Yeah.
But that frame is actually PVC pipe.
Oh, wow.
So it took some PVC piping and routed down the center of it to almost make that channel where everything would fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And what looks like a fence is, I don't know the proper term, but the stuff you use in landscaping.
Okay.
And it's all just painted. It's painted.
Wow.
Now the top of the PVC was actual metal that goes on a fence that I just made screw in, and then everything was painted to make it look like metal.
It's like the frame of the fence. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So everything, everything has a facade.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
That's why I'm like, if you need something to a certain color, it's just the right application on it, and yeah.
That's so amazing. Yeah, I'd never seen anything like that. I'm such a fan of Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like all of the set design, I'm just like, I can't walk through those houses slowly enough because I want to take all of the
See it all.
details in. It's like I love that stuff.
Well, and that was actually how I got, like, how I found out about Nassau. Is I'm that person that when I go somewhere, be like, oh, that rock work's done really well, or oh, the architect of this, I want to look at it, or I pay attention to things. So then I was like, when I was at a theme park, I was like, I wonder who builds this stuff. I want to know. When I first moved down here, I was like, I wonder who builds all this.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah.
somebody was like, oh, it's this company called Nassau. So I walked there one day and I was like, I need a job. I want a job here. I want to, some of the stuff that was being built, I was like, that's really cool.
It's some of the best in the world as far as that classification of detail, that like artistic talent, that realism that they create. At these theme parks, it's just like, I mean, we've got Disney and Universal, lots of stuff at SeaWorld as well. There's so much talent here because of all the themed attractions that we have in Orlando.
Absolutely. And it's awesome because a lot of the local artists in Orlando also have their hands in a lot of these companies. So
Yeah.
they're doing the art, they're also doing the fabrication there. It really is, when you get to know some of them, it's more of a tight-knit community. A lot of the artists know each other. And I think the shows that get put on with a lot of the local artists, it's good compared to a lot of other cities.
That's so true. We've got great galleries, smaller art galleries and things like that. My friend Steve Parker has Redefine that's downtown, and he does a lot of stuff here at Red Light, which we are at today. We're sitting outside of Red Light. And so he teaches at Full Sail. And yeah, the fact that we have all of these things, even like Full Sail and Creality and
Yes.
like all of these art programs at colleges as well, like it all adds to the scene. Like we really do have an amazing, thriving art scene here in Orlando.
We do. Yeah.
And people don't talk about it nearly enough, I feel like.
And I think that's the one thing. It's so weird because, like, all the tourist stuff happening.
Right.
And then you come, we're not that far. And it's a whole, between all the small businesses,
Yeah.
all the local artists, it's just a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Because if you were to ask me where do I want to spend the majority of the time, you want to go to the theme parks
Sure.
and like that stuff,
Yeah.
or you want to kind of venture around here and get to know this side of town. And I think they're polar opposites.
They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much that this part of town has to offer. And I mean, that's really why I do this podcast, because I'm like, I want the rest of the world to know about these things. Like you look through the list of podcasts and there's like a million that are about Disney. And it's like, it's cool. I love Disney too, but also, you know, these other things kind of really don't get the spotlight that they should. I've seen that you do work with Rifle Paper Company, and they're like everywhere now. Like they're just incredible with what they do. It's so wild.
Well, and so many people think that. So everything that I actually post on Instagram, none of it is stuff that I just grabbed and I'm like, I'm going to frame this. I'm going to do this for show, or I work with this company. Everything is somebody's artwork.
Yeah.
And I get more stuff from local business like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. And I guess maybe that's why I started the Instagram, was to show, you know, stuff that I've done, but also it's cool to be able to, hey, tag this local business, like support, because I'm all about supporting local businesses and I love the whole small town vibe.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to be like, I love that even my clients are bringing in other small businesses that then I too try and support and just put out there to say, hey, check these guys out.
Mm-hmm. It's smart on every level too, because it also kind of gives you an idea of like, oh, like if I'm at Rifle Paper Company and I buy something, I can bring it over here and get it framed and like get this thing that's going to basically last forever. You know, the preservation of that art, and like you're able to hand it down, you know, generation after generation because it's done the right way.
And it's hung on the wall and you get to see it every day and enjoy it.
Totally.
Whatever's not stuffed in a drawer, take it out.
Yeah.
Let's do something with it.
Find some wall space. And if you need an installer, you know where to find an installer. You just got to wait a couple months because she's so busy. Yeah.
Booked out, you got to do it in advance.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's plenty of time before Christmas.
Yeah, plan ahead. Oh, that's
right?
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly. Yes. So people are like, "Oh, are you available tomorrow?" Yes. No. But it's always that thing where it's like, when do you need this by? Oh, yesterday. Can we make 2 days ago happen?
Right. I don't have that time machine yet. Yeah. That's not an employee that
there's a fourth employee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Want to be considered.
Theoretically, time travel is possible, they say, but you know, I guess to be continued on that.
That's right up there with my wood stretcher.
Right. Yeah. It is right up there.
Yeah.
Maybe when we get that time machine, we can travel ahead in time and bring one of the wood stretchers back.
Yes.
And speaking of which, like, you also donate your leftover materials, your kind of spare things, to the Science Center and the K-8 school, and so you make sure that those things can be used by other people, like your mats and your wood and things like that. Is that's something that you're still involved with?
Always. So
yeah.
So basically, my mat boards is no matter what, you always typically have to buy a sheet. Mm-hmm. There's always a fallout for your cut, and I love art. I have a little girl, and a lot of our spare time, we are constantly drawing and building things and just, you know, doing crafts.
Yeah.
So take all that stuff, rather than recycling it, I put it in a box every month, huge box, and I have a rotating list. Anybody wants to be on the list, please contact me.
Good to know.
Yeah. And I've got between the schools, daycares, the Science Center, like anywhere that is interested in, hey, because a lot of schools buy mats or just in general for projects.
That's expensive stuff.
It is very expensive, yeah. So rather than, I just put them in the box, go down the rotating list every month, send out the box of mats to whoever wants it. The wood in the back, yes. We did one time with the Science Center because they wanted to hold a class, gave them a van full of material. There's another guy, or there's a couple different people that'll contact me.
Sure.
So to the extent of one guy likes all my little fallout pieces and he makes sculptures and stuff out of the wood. He comes through, picks it up.
That's so cool.
Or So another local guy used to be like, "Hey, all the tubes you get from the posters, what do you do with those?" I'm like, "I just recycle them." Well,
Uh,
can you save them for me? I like to build rockets. Like,
was one of those people Doug Roadhamel by chance? Because
no.
he loves repurposing materials, and he's actually had exhibits at the Science Center too. Like he does all that stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I feel like I should know him.
I will
We'd get
connect
along.
the two of you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
very good friends, so I'll make
Yeah.
that happen. It's good for him to have another like source of those kind of materials too. So
Yeah, I'm like, because
Uh-huh.
a lot of it's like, it's still all good. And I
Yeah.
can't, I mean, yes, I'm at a point where I was at a cusp for a while. Do I grow the business and make it a lot bigger?
Yeah.
Or do I just kind of stay where I'm at and maintain it and kind of push it out a little bit? Because I could go bigger.
Yeah.
But
It's a big decision too,
it
though.
is, and I don't know. I might have a little bit of a control issue.
Sure. Sure.
Which is because
You know what works, and it's opening up to the possibility of like some chaos and that sort of thing,
and
right?
quality.
Quality, of course, yeah.
Between quality and what's happening with certain things. If it's something that needs to be done a certain way,
Mhm.
I can guarantee it's done that way because I took the order with you.
And that's how people have
created.
that trust in you too. They're
Exactly.
just like, I know the person that's working on it. Here you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that I've learned from the very beginning is a big deal.
Yeah.
I've had some people say prior to me owning it. So
Mhm.
I've actually only owned it. I'm horrible with time frame.
I am too. It's okay. This is the place for that.
Yeah.
Just a ballpark. I mean, add
It's-
2 years because of the pandemic, because we lost those 2 years.
Right?
So
It's
yeah,
crazy.
it's so crazy.
Yeah. I've owned it about 8 or 9 years,
Okay.
somewhere in there, and I don't remember.
So basically
dates.
10 or 11 years because we got to add those 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Somewhere. Yeah.
And I had worked here prior to owning it, and I would get phone calls some days that would be like, "Are you working, or is some like who's working?"
Uh-huh.
Because it's almost like they want to know, do they want to come in today? Do they,
Oh,
like,
yeah. So you were like the star employee before you were the owner.
or like, and then
Uh-huh.
it's kind of like I do compare this.
Yeah.
Your framer can be like who you go get your hair cut with. Like,
Of course.
once you find that person that
Right.
like gets you or understands your style, knows
Yeah.
what you like,
Yeah.
you don't really, you stay the course.
Yeah.
You don't veer the course off.
Oh,
that.
I get that.
Yeah.
With this hair, there's one person that can cut my hair, and that's
Yeah.
she can't. She's a friend of mine too, and she quit the business.
Oh,
but
no.
she's still.
see?
She even travels, like she's like a traveling nurse. But when she's back in town,
She
I
takes
won't
care
let
of you.
anybody. Yeah, she does. She
Yeah,
does. So I
see?
get it. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
very apt metaphor for me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I say that, like, once you find your person,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they know what you like.
Yeah.
And you know what you're going to get. You know, you're not walking into a department store and someone that was just stocking shelves is now going to come design your framing.
Yeah.
Is that what they do every day? You
Right.
really, and then the end
Yeah.
result, you really not sure what you're going to get because they're not your designer. They're not your builder. They're just, hey, you got a minute? I need some help over here in
Yeah.
this section.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're settling for something that is going to be subpar just because of the nature of it, because how it was made, the materials. It's not custom. And for some things it's just like, okay, sure, but like if you have something that you treasure and you really want it displayed nicely and you want it preserved.
Yes.
It's like there is,
a place for that.
there's a place for that.
Come
And
hang out.
Totally.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Seriously, it's so exciting that you're right here in the neighborhood too, and that the shop has been here for that long. So tell me about like the previous owner. So you started working there as an employee.
Yes.
And how long was that?
So,
Again with the timelines.
with time.
So we'll
I mean-
say like 8 years.
so
Nobody's gonna fact check this, so like you could just say a number and then we'll like totally be good.
if it did get fact checked, I'd be interested to know because
Yeah,
I
all
really
right.
I have no concept of time when it comes to anniversaries
Yeah.
or like, hey, when did you start? I don't clock watch typically unless it's like this is a due date or or like events, appointments.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like how long,
I think
know.
that's a sign of a content person in a way too. I mean, the fact that you're not clock watching, that you're just like,
Doing
time is just going to pass either way. So
You're in it, you're doing it.
You're
just
in it, you're doing it. Yeah.
Write it out.
I think there's a thing that happens in Florida too, the fact that our we don't really have distinct seasons. Because like today feels kind of, it like felt a little summery. You know, we were just talking about this, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow's it's gonna be winter tomorrow.
Yeah.
Florida, it's hard to have your timelines in check because you're like, well, was that March or was that like August?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't know. It was hot, so it could be any time. Really.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so funny you say that because that's so on point with how.
And you coming from Philly, like you understand distinct seasons.
Yes, because I can think about, oh, well, it was like this outside, or I'll go back to music. Oh, this was like released at that point in time, so it's got to be, and that, like that's.
This is a fall album. Like the leaves are changing.
Yeah, that is.
It's that's a soundtrack to fall for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that bad? That I mean, that's how bad I am with time. That it's like I resort to thinking about those things.
I think we all suffer from it in Florida, and some of us are more attuned to it than others. Some of it, like if people are born and raised here, it just is the norm.
It is what it is.
Yeah, totally. But if you lived in a place where there were seasons and there was snow, you're like, okay, yeah, I know what months those were because there was snow.
Yeah.
And here you're just like, we're just kind of drifting through time. So season is not...
existent. That's the one thing I miss about like everything in my life.
I get it.
It's like I miss the season. Everybody that complains about snow and all that, I'm like, and they're like, trust me, you'll go back and you won't miss it. And I'm going, I'm good all day long.
Yeah.
There's tool for everything.
Yes.
There's get a snowblower.
Like
you're good. Like
that's true. That's really true. And there are trade-offs to living in Florida as opposed to up north as well.
Correct.
You know, I think that the fact that we can basically go to the beach any day of the year and have a fine time is like kind of cool.
Yeah, this is very true.
So it's just kind of what you're into, and you know, you can go visit the snow.
So I've learned.
You got to do that. I mean, just to like get some of that in your brain. I think that's how we counter it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it booked end of May.
Good for you.
And then end of the year. So
nice.
I used to only close the shop twice a year.
Oh boy.
One time in July, and so every year has been for. Actually, no, I can't say this. It's never been consistent. Because every year we used to always close from Christmas, because of how crazy it is at Christmas, to the New Year. One year I did not. I was just that busy.
Wow.
Where it was like, nope, we're not. I'm going to just keep going. But normally I always close the shop for the week right after Christmas to the New Year's, just kind of after the Christmas rush, give myself a break.
Should. Yeah.
And
you got to take them, right? Sometime.
And one time in the summer, because it's normally like died down a little bit.
Yeah.
It hasn't. I'm thankful and blessed. There's no die down time anymore for me.
Wow.
There's no downtime. But I've learned that, because I used to be, I'm the only person there. I'm lucky also that I rarely ever get sick. I take every precaution just because of that. Because you can't really sick day sent in the question.
Right.
But I've learned that, and I'm always there. Even when I was pregnant with my little one, I had her on a weekend, and I was there the following closed Mondays, and I was there Tuesday morning with brand new baby girl.
Wow.
Yeah, just let's go, let's do it. No, there was no, but.
That's incredible. Wow.
In the beginning, I was always so nervous if I closed. Hey, she took day off.
Yeah.
Let me, but I've learned that people are like, nope, I'm gonna wait. I'm
gonna wait.
I'll be back the next day.
Yeah.
Something came up, and I've also learned that that family time or whether it's me time, closing for the weekend once every 3 months, or taking the week off in the summer and taking the week off at Christmas, and that's it for the entire year. Like, people aren't going to be that mad at you.
No.
Most people are like, yeah, if anything, you should consider it a little bit more than what you do.
You need to take care of you.
Family
for sure.
time is, and they're like, one person said to me, one person got so upset to the point where it made me upset.
Huh.
Something couldn't happen that was out of my control, like a piece being done. And
Was it like the timing of it, or was it just
So-
like being done in general? Like it
Well,
just wasn't possible?
so I had ordered some material, and a lot of my companies come local. They come locally on a truck, or they get shipped to me. It's one or the other. Most of the people think, oh, the wood is all made here, or either the wood is all made in China. That too is not accurate.
Yeah.
I want to say 90% of all the wood molding material comes from Italy. 90%. The other place is a lot of vendors too will say made in USA, but out of their line of like, let's say they have 50 different profiles, 1 or 2 will be made in the USA. And they'll say made, but no, a lot of it's either made in Italy. The other place is like Indonesia. Mainly those two. Most of it's all Italy.
So interesting.
Yeah. I don't think any of my products, any of the wood comes from like China, any place like that. But so this molding was being shipped by a company
Okay.
and had the tracking number and everything, and it said it would be here by end of day. I was like, she called and I was like, yeah, we can, if it comes, but they didn't. FedEx, UPS, I don't know who it was. They didn't make it by the end of the day. They came the next day.
Okay.
And, nothing I could do about it.
What are you going to,
Yeah,
exactly.
I can't go hunt him down. Brian at UPS, he's an awesome dude, comes by every day, but I can't go hunt him down after hours.
No, it's not okay.
Yeah, no, totally
That's
not
just
good.
not done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it could be done, but I'm not that girl.
No.
Yeah,
I hope nobody does that. Their job is like, they've got their work cut out for them. They don't need that.
They don't need the extra. Nobody needs the extra bullshit hassle. Like
Nobody. Does.
No. I don't need it. I'm not gonna give it out. So she came back, and even though I show her, there's nothing I can.
This is the situation. Sure.
There's nothing I can do, and most things I can make happen.
Yeah.
You'll find me here late at night. Lights are on. I'm probably knock on the window. I'm probably there working some nights.
Yeah.
But so she came back and she was not happy. She was not happy, and I just I'm also a people pleaser, but I take pride in what I do, and if I can do it, I want to be a part of that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're here to deliver, but you can only do so much.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
But she wasn't happy, and I'm a little bit of a sensitive soul.
Sure.
Yeah, it had me breaking down a bit, like as if what can I do? But even though I can't do anything,
right?
I can the only thing I can do at this point is have everything prepared for when what comes in. I anticipated everything. Everything's laid out. So as fast as I can do it, I've anticipated it all. Everything's good. Everything's prepped. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the nicest. But I was impressed because I don't think it was the next day. I think it was 2 days later. She came back and she was like, because after she had picked it up, she was stoked on it. She was super pleased, super happy, and it was like a whole new person.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little like,
you had to get over that injury. Yeah.
And I'm still a little like, I know you're going to be stoked because it's still going to give you my quality. Like it's all hitting those marks.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little like, man, I lost a little bit of sleep. Like I was a little worried about the whole situation, or not worried, but
Sure.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
It kept crossing my mind.
Yeah.
But she came back, after she picked it up, it was 1 to 2 days later, she came back in, and I'm thinking, here we go. What's happening? What's going on? Because I'm still I think about things.
Yeah.
I think about things a lot.
Sure.
I care.
Well, especially, you're dealing with every single person too, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of taking on you're trying to please everybody and taking those things to heart.
Yeah, I take everything to heart. Doesn't matter whether it's my business or what it is. I literally take everything to heart.
Yeah.
But she came back and she goes, it was just a frame. It was not a body part. I did not need a kidney.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for the way I acted.
Wow.
And I was like, damn.
That's cool.
Yeah. Because
she learned a lesson.
Well, because she didn't have to come back and say anything.
She did not.
She did not. She
was the bigger person for it. And,
And it made me be like, because at the end of the day, everything I do, yes, it is just a frame. But also you get excited by it. You spend the money. You don't, you're doing the special thing and it's a good thing. So I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about it too. Like,
Right.
you turn something that was just, you know, I get greeting cards and wrapping paper, all the time, but you turn it into, here's sometimes just a simple, I've done leaves.
Wow.
Here's just a simple thing, and I'm creating it into something I look at every day, I enjoy every day, I preserved it, it's a piece of art.
Yeah.
So you get excited by it, and I get that. And there are some cases where they're emergency, whether or not they're pieces for funerals or pieces like, I literally do everything all over the board.
Yeah.
Hockey pucks, funeral, like, you name it.
Yeah.
And there are some emergency pieces, but the majority of them are not. And so when she compared it, she was like, it was just a frame. It wasn't a body part. It wasn't a kidney. I'm so sorry. I was like, I was just in awe. I was like, dang, that's really cool. Cause I know, you came up here, cause she had to have known, and I don't have a good poker face whatsoever. I'm a terrible liar.
That's
terrible.
A great trait. I'm the same way. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
No, it keeps you honest though. Like, you just wear it. It's just there. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's got its good points and bad points. So if I even attempt to, like, I'll stutter. I don't do it. I don't try and do it.
Yeah.
But it can have its downfall when people are like, and I tell people, I'll never tell you no, but if I'm steering you, if I'm driving you in a different direction, that's basically my no.
Yeah.
But if being a terrible liar, if someone's like, what do you think about this? And I don't like it, I'm like, it doesn't work for me. Like,
Yeah, sure.
I can't even, like,
that's
sugarcoat it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not good that I can't sugarcoat it. Because I don't want to, and I don't by any means want to, like, hurt anybody's feelings, or because I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
But if it works in a way where I'm like, this does work, it's just not my style,
Yeah.
I'll make that clear.
Yeah.
But when it just doesn't work, and it just doesn't work, that's when, like, I wish I had a poker face and I could, like, not even lie, but maybe, like, sugarcoat a bit, because I don't want you to be like, oh, yeah, I have terrible ideas. Like, do you know?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Like, you might be talking them out of something that really is to their benefit, because, like, you kind of know what is going to be kind of almost
horrible.
Maybe offensive is too strong of a word, but, like, to the artistic eye, other people are going to look at this and be like,
okay.
Oh no! Like, what choices were made?
Yes,
that's what we'll say when we see something that we don't like.
Yeah. So there's this one long-term customer that I've had, and again, I never tell people no, but she is her own artist. She draws, and she's a great woman, and she needed this frame with her piece. And I was like, let's not make this happen. Please. And I just tried everything I could
such
to,
a good answer.
Yeah, I tried everything I could to, like, show her something
that might be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no budging. She was being stubborn that day, and so I was like, all right, let's do it. And it's from a company I know. I can't just, like, I can't return it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, okay. I've known you long enough. I know I'm going to do this. I'm also going to buy and cut and build this other frame. So
to give you some options.
No, not even to give her an option. I had my plan B. I had plan B. She came to pick up her piece. I've never had somebody cry in my shop, cry in a bad way.
Oh.
I have people cry in my shop all the time, and then they'll make me cry because I'm all sensitive. But cried in, what did I do? And I'm going...
You're like, I can save
I'm
this.
like, I told you, like, we talked about this. We spent time on this, and I tried to say, what about this?
Yeah.
And you were like, this just looks so good.
I tried to save you from yourself, and you didn't take the bait.
No, not at all. And I guess I'm thinking in my head, like, was she looking at something different? Like, you know?
Yeah. We all have our off days, right?
Yeah, for sure. Everybody, I have mine.
For sure.
But I had plan B, so I was
wise of you.
Yeah, well,
that's incredible.
I've never, and because some companies offer, like, Michael's offer, some companies offer this 100% satisfaction guaranteed, and I'm going, oh, that's because, is it because you're pulling your designers off the floor that don't know how to design? You're anticipating that they are not going to be happy when they see what they get.
It's cheaper than doing it right the first time.
Right? So yeah, I don't, I've never had anybody ask for me for this guarantee, but I've noticed it on the back of theirs because, like I said, I do as many repairs as I do new orders.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why don't you go back? They guarantee it. Like, why? Because custom framing is not cheap.
Right.
So I'm like, why? You've already spent money on this. Why don't
take them up on their offer? Right?
Exactly. And I get the majority of, why are you trying to do that to me? Why are you trying to? That's a headache. Like and I'm like, oh, okay,
they've seen what it
can do.
Yeah.
And so, but with her, as she saw her painting and she was so upset. So I said, give me a few minutes. Went back, swapped it out because I had already anticipated this. And came back out, presented her with, plan B.
Yeah.
And gosh, it was that reverse face of you did that. What she saw, it was like it's the best moments.
Wow, that is so cool.
I've never had to do that with anybody else because but I knew her. I let her, and because I've never seen anybody with that. Because people do cry in my shop all the time, but it's a cry in I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
It's so much better than what I was expecting, or it's just a wave of, I finally did it and it means a lot and it's done right, it's preserved.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it ever again. I can just look at it and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's almost closure in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've got it up and it's it's done, it's there, and I enjoy it.
Yeah,
and it looks
you've done
good.
that thing justice.
Yeah.
You've honored it in a way, right?
Well,
it's there's a lot there.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even, what's funny is you automatically go to, I did it justice. Yeah, everything I do, I preserve everything. All my materials are all conservation. Everything's preserved. But it's funny because most people don't go to that part. Yeah. It's more or less it just looks good. It feels good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then the bonus is it's preserved.
Yeah.
Because normally the first and foremost thing is let's preserve this.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of those pieces. But sometimes now it's up. I'm enjoying it. Bonus was preserving it. But I'm actually now, it's not tucked away. I forgot about this. Let me add me on my walls. And my walls aren't a blank space, blank canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I've seen you've also done army jackets.
Oh, all sorts of military stuff.
Yeah,
I love military stuff.
Yeah. That's really, that is so impactful, and there's so much of it out there, and it's a generational thing too, because it's that will be passed on, and it's absolutely that's part of history, that's part of family history, and hanging on to that in a way that there's a lot of pride in having served one's country and putting your life on the line. It's it's really huge.
Yeah, those are probably some of my favorite pieces. Every piece that comes into my store is a conversation piece for whatever's going on the wall, and that's another cool aspect of getting something on the wall. It's a conversation piece for whoever comes over your house.
Yeah.
But those pieces, military pieces, they're conversation pieces. But sometimes they're deeper. They're not just you and I can just sit here all day, conversate. Let's have let's grab another beer.
Yeah.
But those pieces, military pieces, sometimes are you pull something out of somebody.
Yeah.
That whether or not they haven't talked about before, or it's just it runs deeper.
Right. It tells a whole story. Just that artifact of that that it was in that time in that space. And that these were important artifacts, and they still are.
For sure.
They carry a lot of weight. That we can't fully grasp and understand.
Definitely not. And some of them too, or it's a deeper connection for the person that it was theirs, or if it was a family members of theirs.
Yeah, it helped get them through. That was
Yeah. And again, it's not still now in a box. It's being appreciated more. It's up. It's there, you see it every day, you're looking at it every day.
Yeah, closure is such a beautiful word, and I think I think everything in life that we go through that can be sort of framed, well, pardon the expression, but as sort of a trauma or something like that. It's all of these things kind of mark us, and all of these things help define us, but it also defines our strength. These things that we've survived, that we've gotten through, and displaying it is really the right thing, because, for yourself to see at a minimum, but, even showing it to others, it's like we all have our stories. We've all been through some things.
Right.
And what connects us is that you're not the only person with a story that's like that. And you find commonality, you find connection, people know you better. I think that's one of the coolest things about these podcasts too, is just that, like, now I get to know you. You know what I mean? It's like, you've been here all of these years, and like, we've never had this conversation, and it's magic, because like, now it's like, I feel a deeper connection with your space, with this whole district. It's like, this all happens just from learning about it and sharing it, and I get to take that story and share it with others, and it's very special.
It definitely is, because you never realize sometimes just who your neighbors are anymore.
Right.
Even now, sometimes it's like, hey, I didn't know, just across the street, you're hanging out, you're over there, who you are, what you're about, and I'm about the same thing, or
exactly.
All those connections.
Yeah, and I know like all of my neighbors, and we talk, and like,
See,
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is special, and I want that for other people, but I also want to celebrate the fact that we have that in this neighborhood.
This goes back to that. So I own a house over in Belle Isle.
Oh yeah.
I do not know all my neighbors.
Yeah, I think it's more common to not. These days.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Not at all. But over here, it's funny because I say, and it's not that far, even like, so even where I'm at, I wouldn't even consider it like the tourist, but it's not that far. But I swear the whole atmosphere of just, sometimes I feel like when I'm delivering frames and I'm in an elevator or I go somewhere and I'm like, hi, I get the whole like,
standoffish.
Did they just say hi to me?
Yeah. Like, what do they want? They want something from me, right?
Yeah. Like, because I'm that person, like, what's up? How's the weather?
Yeah.
Like,
just
what's
being
going
nice
on?
to be nice.
Like to talk to.
Hey, we're
whatever.
both here.
Yeah. We're human, but no, the majority of the time it's like,
not weird.
It's like, did they just, like, and having a casual conversation, because I'm 100% that girl. I'm totally fine. Like, certain things that I'm into, I grew up more kind of a tomboy, building cars, and
you pursued your interest. You broke outside of that, like, what we were handed as gender identity and these things that just like, you're expected to play with this or whatever. It's like, no,
and that's out the door.
But
so like for me, I have no problem. I want to go do this, so I can go do that by myself.
Yeah.
So talking to someone, like saying hi to someone, or asking a question, isn't like today. So when that happens to me all the time in certain spots, it's like, oh, okay. And sometimes I'll even say it out loud. Okay, I probably shouldn't have said hi. Or
it's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. Versus like, or somebody else, you can just, hey, let me or even grabbing the door for someone, or because if someone's struggling and I see they're struggling, let me help you out.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people are so taken off by, hey, thank you. That shit, common courtesy, manners, that's still huge for me.
Yeah. My roots definitely inform me of like how I connect with strangers even too, because like people from small town Maine are super sweet, and they'll just talk to you. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like, like, maybe they don't need to know my life story, but I'm just like revealing details about myself or whatever. And it's like, I'm an oversharer sometimes.
Oh, I am 100%. I have vomit mouth, so I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Don't write
it's
a book.
About connecting. I mean, we all desire it. Like, and those people that are shut off from it, I think they need it even more. You know what I mean? And hopefully they'll find it at some point. But we all need it, really.
Or me in general, I'm just like, I guess I have no problem just, I don't know.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
put it right out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
yeah.
I'm very straightforward. And that's
Mhm.
one thing, I got lucky where it benefits me in my business.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, I was like, ooh, don't be,
Right.
yeah, a little straightforward. But at the same time, I see this stuff. I know what it's going to look like at the end of the day. If you got to be blunt, you got to be blunt. Some
Yeah.
people like to hear it, some people don't. But I'm straightforward. I do not like to be confrontational, but at the same time, it's just like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
just
Say
like
what you mean, right?
Like, just
Yeah.
open air.
Let's
or-
cut out the
Yeah.
the other things, because like I want you to know where I'm at,
Yeah,
and I want to know where you're at. So like let's just get there. Right?
yeah. And
yeah.
I just bam.
Uh-huh.
And same with designing. That is pretty much my approach with anything.
That's awesome.
It can be bad because again, I can just
But if it's not for everybody, it's not for everybody. It
Right.
doesn't have to be.
Right.
It's like
And a lot of times I've learned that with my customers, like whether it's customers or it's people, I've learned it's kind of like in the end it works out just because either you open them up, you work them out, or you figured them out.
right.
Like I kind of sometimes like to figure people out and just, hey, let's break it open. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
I had somebody that for an installation job, she had a whole bunch of pieces to just hang up all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And when I say a whole bunch of pieces, I mean, do I need to calculate the square
Like
footage of the wall space?
a house full of pieces.
It's
yeah.
well, it's a house full to do.
Uh-huh.
But it also, like, I'm thinking about calculating the surface space to find out if that matches the surface space of the stuff I'm hanging.
Oh wow.
It was to that extent.
Wow. Okay.
And it was doable. It was easily doable.
Yeah.
The hardest part was she was so overwhelmed that I was like, all right, I'm going to need you
You're
to do me a
picking
favor.
up on that energy, right?
Yeah, well, I couldn't.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the energy for sure. And I'm definitely that way.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what do you drink? Do you like, are you a wine? Do you drink wine? Because
Let's loosen this up a little
yes.
bit. Let's
Yeah. I'm a whiskey person, but I've not
Very nice.
too many other whiskey beer people. So
Uh-huh.
you drink wine? Like I was trying to figure it out based on and she's like,
Get
yes.
her in her comfort zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, do me a favor. I was like, I'm going to go unload a couple more tools.
Uh-huh.
You grab yourself a bottle of wine, pour a cup, large,
Uh-huh.
just fill it. Fill it up. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully you're on the next round.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
Let's like, because I was struggling, like trying to get her to calm down, even though, talking with her, she just was so, there was hundreds of pieces and it was all of her mom's stuff.
Oh, wow.
So there was
very
emotion.
personal.
Yeah, there was a lot involved.
Yeah.
So
There's always guilt stuff, I think, with family too. You're just kind of like, I don't know. There's always that. There's going to be an element of that, just like, I want to impress them even if they're gone,
but
or
still,
like
you want
whatever
it done
it is, right? Yeah.
So I kind of chimed in on that and was like, look, it's going to be done right. Not because I'm doing it, but because
we're
it has
to
do
be
it.
too, though,
And
right?
like,
you can
it's-
do it, and it
yeah,
has to be. So
Yeah, I don't like doing things twice, so
Yeah.
it's going to be done right.
yeah.
But so she had her glass of wine.
Uh-huh.
And by the end of the night, I'm not sure how many she had. She was she was on cloud 9.
I love it.
So it took me I put a piece on the wall
Uh-huh.
and I was like, this is how we're going to do it. 'Cause she didn't want it like a certain format. I was like, this is how I'm just putting this right here. I was like, shut your eyes, pick a spot on the wall. That's where I'm putting it.
Yeah.
And so put a piece on the wall, put the next piece, put the next piece, put
Just
the next
gotta
piece.
baby
out.
steps, right?
Yeah.
Just take that first step.
She's having fun. At this point, she's got somebody laid out. I can't even keep up with her.
Uh-huh.
She's like, what time are we coming tomorrow? What time? Like 3 hours later, when are we doing this? And
She's
I'm like,
excited now.
yeah. So I'm like, we
Wow.
went from, what are you drinking?
Yeah.
Or what are we to let's have fun with
Also,
it. You got to make it fun.
Yeah, had you not done that, that could have been like the most painful job, because she would have been indecisive, or
Oh,
it would just sort of been like, I don't know.
I wouldn't have
like-
letting that happen. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
no.
Yeah, I can't.
No.
No. Yeah, no.
And that's your expertise that you bring. It's like, you know how to do the job well, but also you know how to handle the customers and like
Sometimes.
what their stuff is. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. We don't always know. I mean, there are
Everybody's
lots
different.
of wild cards out there that
I'm one of them.
well, yeah, but I mean, some people are just like they bring too much, like I don't want to say baggage or whatever it is, like
Yes.
too much drama to a situation. You're just kind of like, you've
For-
got to deal with your drama a little bit before like we can come together on something, because
For-
that's going to be out there, you
For
know.
sure. And I think it more boiled down to, and I am this person. I overthink everything sometimes because I genuinely care about either what it portrays, how I, so I can tend to overthink.
I think that's
But-
the artist thing too, right? I think every artist sort of has that. They ruminate.
Yeah.
And that's what like brings out the good art, is that like you've thought about this quite a bit.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's between thought and effort, that's me.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But so with her, I think she overthought it so much that I was just looking at her going, you've got way too many equations on this table.
Yeah. You got to
So-
turn down the volume on
Yeah.
some of these like voices that are
Yeah.
kind of like
Jump in
presenting.
it, or or just the worry. There was so much worry there.
Yeah.
And I get that because I can do that.
Sure.
So it worked out to it where I just had to figure, and not that I wanted to result to her having a glass of wine.
No.
And then, but at the same time,
Yeah.
she made a party of it.
That's
It
nice.
was, yeah. So
That's
it
nice.
worked out
Because
perfectly.
it should be. This is a celebration, no
And
matter
that's-
what, right?
Yeah, that's what it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we're not here to be stressed or anything. It's
No.
let's
This isn't a body part.
yeah, this exactly. Yeah.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
quality of life stuff.
It's something to we're just doing improvements.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
doing and a feel good. It's all about that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, every time you look at something that was made for you,
Mhm.
it was supposed to be a feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, she'll remember that experience forever. Like on top of the art itself and how expertly it was framed and how it's like ultimately what she wants, like she won't think about that time that it was put up and be like, oh God, that was such a nightmare to do. And it's like, you turn that around. You're like,
Yeah.
maybe this will be something that works, because this is like a casual, let's just loosen it up a little bit, have a couple drinks. Like, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's funny that you say that because no, she comes in quite often to say hi, and she's like, I wish I had more stuff because literally there's no more wall space. We'd have to
Yeah.
go to the ceiling. I wish I had more stuff because I had just such a good experience.
Wow.
And that's one of the best things too, besides people dropping stuff off and saying, hey, see you in 2 weeks. People will still stop by all the time, drop something off to me and just say, I'm thinking about you. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like to be a part of whatever I created to help make them feel good,
Yeah.
feel that good, where I had a customer that hadn't seen in a bit, brought me pastries.
Oh,
And I was like, hey,
that's so sweet.
that was good timing. I was kind of hungry too, and they were good, the local. But yeah, so it pulls that connection into it of where, I mean, I never would have thought by just doing some things that are more simple to me.
Mhm.
It's not like it was anything that I thought that was insane to build.
Right.
It was just something that you thought of and I helped you create. But now I get some people's perspectives of, I think of you even when I think of this because of the experience I had, and that's just a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Because when I look at my stuff on the wall, I just enjoy what I did, what I create, and what it is. I don't think about also, I guess, a person that helped me create that or get to that point, or And I will say a lot of people that come in, I know most everybody that comes in now, because you do end up becoming kind of like family or friends where you get to know the person.
Totally.
And doing something. And it's weird to say that because at the end of the day, it is just a frame. It's not a body part.
Yeah.
But you do, I don't know, you do get to know them.
Yeah, there's a connection there. And I think maybe a lot of people miss that it is art in itself. There's technique. It highlights other things that might exist, and even just framing a mirror, like
Yeah.
how ultimately that final product comes. It's like you can just have a mirror with no frame, but when you add a frame that changes everything about that. It's like, it's
Yeah.
art. I mean, it is,
What you
framing is
created,
art.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because a frame can make a piece or kill a piece.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff that people hate because of the frame that it's in. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, it's not the art that you hate. It's whatever that was just either slapped on it because that's what they had to work with,
Yep.
or they didn't know what they were doing. And that can make it look really good or really bad.
Yeah, or it was like the style of the time,
Yeah.
and they just like framed it with that thing, but it really didn't match the art. I love seeing that on your Instagram too, just kind of flipping through the befores and afters. It's like, oh wow, this really pops now. And like before it was just, that was not the right frame.
It didn't work for it. Yeah.
Didn't really work for it.
No. And there are some people that'll just like, they bring their, like, they frame it to whatever else is happening. And I'm like, you sure you don't want to frame it like timelessly? That looks good on the piece like you're supposed to.
Yeah, sure.
So you don't have to, you know?
Like think about what the trends are, but think about what's going to be like
Good
cool
for
like
it.
later. Yeah, and good for the art itself.
Always.
Yeah.
I tell people, because I have a lot of cool colored frames and I sell colored frames and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, for you to go a colored frame or a colored matter to be bold, then you should be a colored person. And how I relate back to it is, do you wear color?
Yeah.
Or if you don't wear color, you know, consistently, if you're more black and white, monotone, like neutral,
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't go for that bright pink.
It should
bright
suit your
purple.
personality. Yeah.
Because 2 weeks from now, you'll be sick of it because you're not truly a color person.
Yeah.
I had a guy come into me once, and he had just a black and white. It was actually an elephant print on, you know, some handmade paper, and he had it on a bright red background mat, and it was a good size mat with a little tiny black frame, and it was cool. But he walked into the shop and he goes, he's like, I just can't do the bright red anymore. I just can't do bright color. Can't do bright color. And I'm like, cool.
It was jarring to him, right?
It was too much.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it no more. And I was like, all right, cool. The reason why you had to pick red, there's no red, is because you loved red. Yeah. Again, he walked in, not in colors. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's change him out. That's an easy fix. Not a big deal. Super easy fix. Everything's usable. Let's just change mat color. So I pick up some mats that I think are going to be good. And he looks up at me and he goes, I want to go bright blue. And I was like, I take a look around and I'm going, the cameras I have in my shop are my own. I'm a little bit of a prankster and I'm going, yep, he's in here by himself. And I just looked back up at him and I said, you want to do what? And he's like, I want to go bright blue. And I said, you want to go bright blue? Didn't you just walk in here and say you want to change it from bright red because you no longer want to do like the bright colors? Like that?
Yeah,
was your
that did
exact
happen,
word.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, you know,
it's a different bright color. So.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And he was like, he kind of like took his head back, and I kind of took back too that that came out, like that's what I was thinking, but I didn't mean for that to come out of my mouth, and it did. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I was like, but I'll do this. And I was pulling out like slate blues or like a good blue that was not bright blue.
Yeah.
Just like a good grayish blue or a good blue that is not going to.
It won't ever be jarring for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll always be good.
Yeah.
And so he was just kind of like, I'm like, you're bobbing to, I have different music going on. You're not quite to the rhythm of the music. So you're thinking in your head, but words are not coming out. And I know it's not to
you're
the music.
You're like reading the body language.
I'm trying,
of like,
because I go off your facial expressions, and I'm an eye contact person. I'm going off. I can read you really well. I know all my frames. I know kind of how to read you to what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of thinking about it, thinking something's going through the head.
Yeah.
But I can't figure it out. He was doing good on not allowing me to read him. So eventually, and it seemed like forever, and it was probably only 5 minutes, but it seemed like forever. And he was like, yeah, I'm good with that. And I was like, cool.
Oh.
Because, Yeah, I realized what I said too. Like, I'm not going to do that.
He
Like,
was processing that.
Yeah,
like,
everything.
What was I about to do?
Or no, I think
No.
he was processing that I was just like, yeah, no, this is what we're gonna do. Because I've never said that to anybody. I said, no, we're not doing that. I know you came into my shop.
Yeah.
And like, you're supposed to tell me what you want. But I kind of like, and I love driving in reverse. But it was like, nope, this is what's going to happen. And I think that was all processing in his head, that I told him no. And I said, this is what we're going to do.
He needs to release the reins a little bit, because he made that decision once that didn't serve him well, because he's like, oh, I can't stand this now.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, let me take you away from
that. And keep in mind, I have never met this man in my entire life.
Right.
He is not a returning customer. He doesn't know me. Sure. I don't know him.
Yeah.
We are like fresh, toes wet, hey, how you doing still?
But you really listened to the first thing that he said.
Yeah, and that's what he said to me.
Yeah.
So you know,
we can talk ourselves into anything sometimes.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And sometimes it's like, what were you thinking? Like, how did you even talk yourself into that?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But so I designed it. I did it. He let me do it. He paid for it. He came back, and he was so overly pleased. And he was like, thank you for not,
saving me from myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
He actually, and I don't know what took me so long. So I've owned the business for a while, and I look up businesses of like, I go by reviews, and I don't know why I've never thought about asking people for reviews for my business. Mm-hmm. So I just started doing that, but he wrote me a review, and I think if you go on it, I think it does say, so I went in there and I wanted something, and she told me no. And I think maybe, I don't know, I'm bad with my words too. And I think he did say something along the lines of, I was a little taken back by it. So was I. If you're listening. I was too. I can't believe those words came out of my mouth, but but it worked out good.
Yeah.
It worked out well, all considering.
It showed that you were listening from the start, though. And that was sort of the thing. He's kind of like, I mean, there are so many options in your shop.
There are millions.
And he's just like, I don't know, like he was drawn to that color individually from, this project. But you're like, you're doing exactly the opposite of what you just said that you wanted, right?
He didn't see any of the matte choices, because those are all hidden. Okay. He was just like, I want to go bright blue. So at first I thought I was being pranked, or it was a joke, or I didn't know what was happening. So I think my face, and again, I'm not a good liar, my poker face isn't good. Sure. So I think I was a little like, when he said that to me, I didn't know what was happening at the moment.
Yeah.
Other than it wasn't right. It didn't feel good.
Yeah. I think that's the kind thing sometimes, is just saying like, no, I mean, you don't want to have to do this over again.
Right.
So here's what I think that you're looking for instinctively.
Yes.
And something that's like, you can still have an accent color without it being like
too much of an
accent color.
And that's key, is knowing proportions. And that's what I always tell people. No different than your matte size. A lot of people will go in and say, hey, you automatically need this 3-4 inch matte. No, you don't. The reason why sometimes people are throwing 3-4 inch mattes on there is because, hey, that makes your frame bigger, that makes your glass bigger, that makes your piece bigger. That means your money increases.
Yeah.
So sometimes at the end of the day, it's more or less for people all about how much you're spending.
Sure.
I don't care how much you're spending. I care about the look at the end of the day that's on your face, because this is my livelihood.
Right.
So I care if you're happy or not.
Yeah.
And that's why I have so many frames in my shop, is all the quality is the same. It is all wood, like I said earlier, but it can run from name brands to not name brands. And that can mean hundreds of dollars of difference.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily need to be at the top tiered of everything you're doing.
Right.
It just means that you like the end result, that you're happy with the end result. So you can always find something, and sometimes it works out. And most people's benefits is they're not with the top dollar, and they got what they wanted. They can find that. And that's why, because so many people will get overwhelmed in my shop. There's so many options. And I'm like, that is my job. That is what I am here for.
Yeah.
You're not here to pull every sample down. I know them all. I know what's going to look good and what's not.
That's amazing.
You rely, like that's part of what people don't get as part of my service that's built into the price is you're not paying for my design time. You're not paying for that aspect of it. I don't have a watch or a clock the minute you walk in the door and I'm timing you. Hey, you're getting charged. Like my installation rate is up there. My installation rate goes by the hour.
As it should be.
Yep.
Yeah.
That first hour is automatic and then goes, I'll do every 15-minute increments. But when you come into my shop, I am not charging you by the time it's taking for us to design it. No, we're going to design it right. You do it once. Going to make sure you're good. I do not let people settle. And I can tell by people's faces if they're settling, if they're happy. I can read that from people.
Yeah.
So for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you're spending. It's what that end result is, if I'm making you happy or not. Because ultimately, if I'm not making you happy, I wouldn't still be in business after all these years.
Totally.
So that's to like that, the designing. And yes, I like the building aspect, but it can boil down to that of making sure you figure that part out with somebody.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the main thing.
Yeah. Having that artistic vision, but also having it match what they're going to be happy with. Because it's like, you don't have to live with that piece every day.
No.
But they do.
Yeah.
So you got to find it together, and reading body language, it's so
key.
fascinating. It's
key.
Definitely got to be key, right?
Sometimes it's hard, and I like that, but because you can frame things a ton of different ways, and ultimately, what I think may look the best is because that's my style. That's not their style, but I can still make it look good in your style.
Yeah.
I may not want to hang it, but I'll still make it look good where and that's where I won't get to a point where, like with that one lady, if I know it's just not even going to be good.
Yeah.
I typically don't tell you no. There was that one occasion. But, I'll drive you to, this is better. This is, and sometimes people don't see it because they don't want to pull it. And that's what I'm saying. I know this is what you wanted when you walked in, but I'm just going to also have you look at this real quick.
Sure.
So you kind of
weigh your options, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And people typically either instantly know. And that's one thing that's nice is there's a million options. You rely on me. You don't get overwhelmed. I know them all. I'm not going to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And if you do start to get overwhelmed, I have a ton of tricks up my sleeve that people have come back to me and have been like, I thought you were crazy when you had me do this. But I really did appreciate that. That really helped me, even though in the moment I was thinking, what is she doing? The other thing I do is, if you're a new customer, I will flood you with information. And it's only because, I don't do everything. I like to learn about everything, but I don't do everything. So if I go into a shop and I really don't know their trade, their skill, they can sell me something and I wouldn't know better because I don't know about that. So typically first-time customers, I do flood you with, these are all your options, whether it's with me or not. To the point where I was actually, so I have a tip jar in the front of my shop.
Oh, nice.
That's not normal with custom framing.
Yeah.
But I had it gifted to me from somebody and I have so many gentlemen that come in, and I'm not even sure, I still wonder to this day, who told you to come talk to me? And I don't know why I haven't had the courage to just be like, I want to know.
Yeah.
But I got gifted with a tip jar that it's not normal, so I feel weird with there, but at the same time it was gifted to me because people sometimes will come in just for advice.
Yeah.
Hey, I know this isn't even necessarily anything to do with framing. I'm building something outside my house and I want to know what's your input on this, or what's your thoughts, or how should I do this?
Yeah.
And so hence why I got to
that's so smart.
It's so well, and I was and it was a little weird that, it was, so I leave it in the front, but most people know. But people will come to, so when you first come to me, and 98% of the time the customer's still even, so if you bring me something that's a standard size, I'm you don't have to go custom. You don't have to do this through me. You can go get a $10 frame and pop it in it and be done.
Yeah.
Do you know you have that option? No, it's not the same quality, and you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But
it's
still,
how long do you need to display this, or is it just something that's just for
or you
one
want to be
show
done
or something? Yeah.
Or you don't want to put X amount of money into it versus this money. So I always lay those things out. Not
Yeah.
that I'm trying to lose business, but I also, if I go into a business and I know nothing, I would want to know all my options.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes when people come in their first time, they are in my shop for a little bit because I do flood, not just with, are you ready-made? Are you custom? Or your mounting process? I feel like some of the process of certain things like jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies will they have this awesome fancy board now that it's like a sticker, and you can like peel the sticker off the foam board and then you can put the jersey in it and just squish the jersey onto it.
Huh.
I don't like it. And
Yeah.
then you take it off that board and the fabric's going to be all like manipulated.
It's a shortcut that leads to other things, right? Yeah.
You nailed it on the head. It's a shortcut.
Uh-huh.
I don't take shortcuts because you typically find yourself redoing stuff. You're going to, like I said, you do it right the first time.
Yeah.
But so sometimes with jerseys, I'll explain. So there's different ways of mounting. I pretty much sew everything down. I will adhere some things, but I sew a lot because if you unclip my stitching, you're taking it out in the exact way that it was put in.
Yeah.
It is still 100% preserved.
Unchanged at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, even with jerseys with the two different mountings, yes, if you're adhering it to a board, it looks completely flat. But it's also because it's squished. But then sometimes it looks fake that way because you don't realize from far away, you're like, is that a jersey or is that a picture? Like, because it's so flat.
Yeah.
So when your first time in, whatever it may be, an art print, jersey, you kind of have that learning curve of you're getting flooded with all this information about the materials, about this, about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have that knowledge too. And the next time it's like, and then I know who you are and I know what you want.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're getting. I know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah.
You it's great.
And that cuts right to it, and people know what they're paying for.
Yes.
And they understand the value of what they're paying for because it will be more expensive because it's custom and it is preserved and it is these things that, if you just want to spend $20, like you can go to one of those craft shops and that's an option for you.
And then in 2 months, so I do say I do just as many repairs as I do new orders.
Yeah.
But a lot of this other stuff now they're making out of polyfoam, and I'm like I won't repair it. Should have done it right the first time.
Yeah.
Or just go buy another cheap thing and be in the same boat a little bit later.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of them are good and they hold up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just never know what you're going to get.
Even the weight of the thing that's framed, it has to be able to hold what's in there. And sometimes you'll get a frame that kind of bows and it's basically like breaking while it's on the wall because it's not built right. It's poor construction.
There's a ton of different aspects that go into that too, even with like that. So I provide everybody and people are like, you gave me the hardware? Well, yeah, of course I gave you the hardware. I don't want you going home and being like, what do I hang this with? So and I do drywall only. I don't give people like mollies for concrete and stuff like that. But I give hardware, and it's like, well, that hardware is going to match whatever your weight, like however it should be hung.
Yeah.
Or if it's certain measurements, I write that on everything. And I'm like,
awesome.
All you need is a hammer.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
extra care. It's just do this and do it right.
Yeah. The whole, I'm not just going to end, here's your piece, go figure out how to hang it.
Yeah.
Let's finish it.
That's amazing.
Get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got my diploma framed at Michael's, and they didn't even put like the backing on it to like hang it on the wall. And I still haven't gotten that fixed after all these years. I'm just like, I'm not going back there.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's funny.
It leans up like on a shelf or something, or maybe it's in a drawer. I don't really care.
See, and that's
I know
not how it should have been.
It's not great. No. It's like, why did I get that frame to begin with if it's not going to be on display?
I'm not leaving that taste in your mouth.
Yeah,
that's not me.
Good.
Good. But it's funny you say that because when I had custom framed so I worked here prior to owning it. I had custom framed at a Michael's. And I have had I've had jobs my entire life. My first job was at 12 up in Pennsylvania, and I worked at a dry cleaner under the table. I think by the time I was legally able to work, I worked at a Home Depot. I worked at the nursing home across the street from my neighborhood, and I worked at the dry cleaner.
Wow.
So I've always been that person, but I worked,
Uh-huh.
and for the first time I worked at a Michael's. And these are custom pieces. I did custom framing.
Yeah.
And I was known throughout schooling, I hand cut mats, I did all that too, so they relied on me a lot. But for the first time in my life, I was written up at work.
What?
And I told you I'm a little bit of a sensitive soul, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit like, I take things to heart because I take pride in what I do. I put that effort in.
Uh-huh.
I got written up for taking too long on somebody's piece.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
how dare you?
Pretty much. I'm like, you know how much money they spent on this? Like, there's dust in it. Like, it's not like, if I picked this up, I'd be a little bent. Like,
yeah. It took that time to do it right.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
you do it right. You do it right the first time.
Get punished for doing it right there?
Oh my, yeah.
Wow.
And this was it. This was a while ago, but still I was like,
that's appalling.
I got a sailor mouth, and I've done very good about being good.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I was like, and that was it. I was done.
Yeah.
But at the time, so many people tell me this all the time, I had never thought about going to a small business. Like custom framing.
Interesting.
I never thought about.
There aren't many out there, so I mean,
there's
no, that.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Oh
so
no.
do you realize, like right now, where we're sitting,
Mm-hmm.
my shop's right here, within a 5-mile radius. Do you know how many frame shops are right around us?
Sam Flax, but are they a chain kind of? Or?
They are and they're not. But either way, they are a frame shop. Sam Flax.
RT Art.
No, RT Art just does printing.
Okay.
Very good printers. You need a printer.
I'm out.
Okay.
All right, tell me.
So I think I can name over 10.
Wow.
Within a 5-mile radius.
No kidding.
Great Escape. He's retiring. Congratulations.
Oh.
He's right on Mills. But there are about 10 right around. Everybody thinks it's a dying business. But no, there is about, I have that much competition right around me.
Yeah.
Not all, from small businesses to big businesses.
Yeah.
People always ask me, are you worried about, like, your competitors? Not at all. Actually, I help out a lot of, I'm not going to name who or what.
Sure.
But I do a lot of repairs from some, but I also help a lot of some. Like, some of them will come to me with a project and be like, hey, can you help me out? Sure.
Oh, wow.
Like, no problem. Like,
yeah. That's
like,
amazing.
I don't see, because I feel like, I don't know if it is the construction background or if it's just people have learned that have come to me, know that I can figure them out, figure out what they're going to want. They're going to leave satisfied. I'm really not sure what it is. I don't try and overthink about it because I overthink about too much stuff as it is.
Yeah.
I just...
It's a puzzle. You know, like, what needs to be done to complete
and I just do
right?
it.
Yeah.
And so I'm staying my course of, no, I'm not worried about my competitors.
Right.
I know I've got a ton of them. Not worried about them. I don't feel like it's a dying business because I think, knock on wood, you can't reach it.
I'll knock on it for you.
Yeah, I'm like, it's consistent. It's good.
And there's so many different things that you frame, and you have that loyal customer base. You have the word of mouth.
Yes.
You have the dedication to quality that people have come to trust. And there's always going to be art that needs framing and done well, and things that need to be preserved, and it's not going away. So
no, not at all. And then I get it. So many people are doing this whole online thing. Oh, I can do everything online, and then they come back to me and be like, "No, I got to redo it all. I'm sorry. It was a learning curve."
Some of the worst things done online. Well, I was trying to print just a photo on, like, the stretch canvas thing.
Mm-hmm. RT Art again.
Yeah, that's the right way to go. Yeah. I have learned my lesson. They literally sent me 5 different things, and they got it wrong 5 out of 5 times.
Oh yeah, see.
And I only paid for it once, and, like, I'm just like, I just want the thing, and I never got it.
Well,
I got it wrong. It was just like, I have 5 wrong copies of the same thing.
So many things I don't understand about that. First and foremost, like, even with my vendors, I feel like sometimes quality control went out the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it costs you money to keep resending me, like, new material. So you would think just get it right. Just look at it, like, ship it, like, get it right.
Yeah. The expertise, the, like, care, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the real thing, I think what people are starting to learn as being online is, or what they get, and it's not, you don't really truly know what you're getting because you can't see it in front of you.
No.
Like, and I've done it, and I'm not gonna name names, but I have redone or repaired so much stuff where they have shown me what they paid for. They did not get what they paid for.
Yeah.
And the hassle of trying to do exactly what you said, some people are like, forget it. And I feel for them, because I'm like, well, now you're starting fresh with me when you could have just, hey,
Yeah.
you know,
And support local.
Yeah.
Like, support people that are actually in the community, and
a lot of people
and
are,
giving back to the community too.
exactly, because
Yeah.
we all, and I feel like all of us down here, and we're all pretty good about it, is however we can put it back, because I truly do like believe, and that whatever you give out, you give back, like whatever you
Totally.
can do to, whether or not it's just helping one person do this that took 5 minutes of your time, versus anything that you can do to pay it back, you know, because truly we've all, in one way, shape, or form, something has crossed our paths where it's like, you should pay that back.
Yeah. It's that, like that energy that, some people call it karma, but I think it's even aside from that. It's just sort of like, yeah, if you don't put yourself out there and, work with people and do things aren't going to come back to you either.
Yeah.
Like, you can guarantee that, like, nothing's going to happen if you do nothing.
Don't. Yeah. Well,
It's kind of simple that way, but
Yeah.
also just we have so much to give to each other in just each other's time, and like caring about something and listening, and I don't know, being heard. It's like,
Yeah.
we all need that. We all need connection.
We do, and it's no different than your attitude, whether or not you always have a negative attitude, positive attitude.
Yeah.
You're willing to listen to them. Like, somebody the other day was like, he asked me how I was going back and forth, and I didn't once ask you how you were, or whatever. It's that realization of,
Yeah.
you do
The
go.
give and take.
You
Like,
have that give
I
and
want to
take.
know about you too. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's, we sometimes have a hard time, like, talking about ourselves, but it takes the right person to kind of ask the questions.
Or pull it out. Yeah.
Pull it out and
That's
just
me.
be like, if I've done some research and I kind of know how to frame the questions, we can kind of get talking about this thing that I already know a little bit about it, because I care enough to have, like, looked it up. You put some information out there on Instagram, and, like, that's super helpful for your customers too. And yeah, that relationship, I mean, that's the thing that makes it golden.
Yeah.
Like, that's what keeps people supporting small businesses, and that's what keeps small businesses thriving the way that you're thriving, right?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. It
Yeah.
keeps it kind of, because you have some sort of expectation versus having no expectation either, when you have some sort of feel for whatever you're getting ready to get yourself into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the starting point, a customer that listens to this podcast or that looks at your Instagram is like, oh shoot, like, she's got chops. Like, I see what's going on here. I have heard about, her stories and how her process works and what skills she brings to it. And I can just trust this person to do something awesome.
And I think that's key. That when that person told me that I had to do that, I had to put myself out there, I had to take a selfie. I was like, I've never taken a selfie before.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a selfie, but I mean, I get it. And now I do it. I'm like, I did a video one-handed. Luckily, I'm very lucky. I'm left-handed. I write left-handed, but I pretty much do everything right-handed. But I can do everything left. I can do I'll just go, but I'll throw darts. Which hand you tell? Like, we'll
That's
make
amazing.
it happen.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn how to videotape work. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a part of it. I
Sure.
don't want to be doing this right now,
But you are.
but I am.
And you're doing great at it.
And
Uh-huh.
sometimes, I'm learning that you kind of do.
You need a little nudge sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely, like, people walk in, they meet me, and I've done great without it. But it
Yeah.
definitely helps when people do know what to expect. They know who they're coming to.
Right.
They can put a face to the business, besides the people that have always supported you, or that are just going to you, and that aspect, and not the aspect of I'm doing a little research beforehand, and I want to see what I'm getting into before I walk in.
Yeah. And this is, like, part of that is that you don't have to tell some of these stories over again, because now it's just going to be out there and people can seek it out and find it. and it's worth learning about. It's a story worth telling,
Absolutely.
and we're so grateful to have you in the neighborhood, and for you to take the time to be on this podcast. It's
Thank you.
it's huge. Yeah.
Well,
it really
thank you
is.
for having me too, because it's been fun hanging out and
Yeah.
then kind of
Yeah, now we know each other, and now I can
Exactly.
stop by, and
I'm
I
always
know
there.
that you're a resource, and it's so nice that you do have the tip jar too, because people won't feel like bad about getting some information. It's like Robbie Lee, the artist, was on the podcast, and he was telling me that he was in your shop, and he got some instruction on like, oh, here's like how you can do kind of a quick and dirty thing, and he's like, I was amazed that they were just willing to like give me
Give the
that knowledge.
information? Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
empower me in that way, and like he's all set with that. So
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
it blows my mind how many people will come in and be like, I mean, I get it all the time. They're like, hey, I know this isn't, I'm walking into a frame shop, but I know you're Christina, and I need to talk to you about this.
yeah.
And and they know I'm going to give them the advice or guidance or tips. And I'm like, I'm like, I shouldn't have a tip jar. I should be like, I shared this information with you. What you got for me? Because I'm all about
Oh,
learning
yeah,
all
yeah.
different trades.
Do a little barter.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Teach
What
me
you-
something.
Yeah, what you got for me? What like I'm sharpening up on my welding skills. Like what skills do you want to
That's
throw
awesome.
at me?
Yeah.
I should think about that.
Everybody's got a skill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just, and sometimes it's those little tips and tricks that I like going to people about, because it's the best. But I guess there is YouTube now. See, I forget
Sure.
about YouTube.
Yeah.
I keep going back to
But you
what
like
wisdom.
that hands-on and
I
that
am
like that
hands-on.
personal interaction. It's like
Yeah.
that's I don't know. That's like what makes life meaningful too, I think.
Yeah.
Just like you can log on to a computer and be, on there all day and get some things from it, but like unless you're talking to somebody, unless you're like, face to face with somebody, it's hard to have that.
Yeah.
I don't know, that energy exchange.
Yeah, and I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I do like that. I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't. If it's bad, don't bring me bad vibes.
Of course.
Yeah,
right.
but I'm all about like hang out, spot.
I think that we attract good energy by putting it out there too. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a part of the thing, is that you have to have good boundaries and barriers with things, and like don't let that bad stuff in. It's
Yeah.
like with that
Well-
one customer, you're kind of like, oh, like you did let it in and you were like getting to it, but then it changed it. It's like your good energy kind of changed her in a way.
Or also it's, that awkward moment in the elevator in the grocery store where you try and say hi to someone and they want nothing to do with it. And you're like, cool, it didn't go past that.
Right. Yeah.
Keep on going.
I'm not going to push it. Yeah. I know where this person's at. They're not, we're not going to meet in the middle.
No,
That's
I'm
okay.
good. I'm good. That's a hard pass anyways. Cool.
Yeah, it's that shorthand and kind of
Yeah,
getting to what is needed, and
Yeah,
it's all part of it.
for sure.
Yeah, Christina, thank you so much. It has really been a treat. What is the website that people go to and the social media stuff that people go to?
The website is fmgorlando.com. So it's FMG for Frame Masters Gallery at orlando.com.
Uh-huh.
And then
I think the Frame Masters Gallery is your Instagram handle, I believe.
that sounds good.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Sounds
I mean,
right.
everything's a Google search away anyways, but...
I mean, us with the Masters, yeah. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the Facebook one would be. Is that even a thing? Like,
It is.
there's...
Yeah, I think you've got stuff on Facebook, and I think probably when you post to Instagram, it goes
connects.
to that. Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't
That's
even
nice.
know. It's
Yeah.
so...
You don't even have to mess with that. And I
Yeah.
think that's the Frame Masters Gallery as well.
I'll have
yeah.
to look into that.
Yeah, it was very easy once I Google searched it. It's all out there.
So when you Googled me, like, did I pop up? Like, because I have, like I said, I have a ton of competitors. Did I pop up,
yeah.
like, up there?
You did.
I haven't done that. I
And-
need to do that.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a ton of info. It did mention the Orlando Magazine getting number one
Oh, cool.
for Custom Frame Shop in 2022.
Well, we hit that. So I hit that every
Uh-huh.
year, but this past year I got number 2. So every year I've been number 1,
Uh-huh.
but this past year I got number 2. And hey, I am stoked with number 2.
Yeah.
I'm still on the list.
Good to be in good company too,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I'm still-
give somebody
yeah.
else a little spot.
Yeah,
like
hell
in
yeah.
the,
Yes.
and you got the Home Design Award Spotlight as well in 2022. Congratulations on that. Those
Thank
things
you.
are nice to get.
Yeah. I
Um,
definitely, when somebody puts your name out there,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you were thinking about me. I
Uh-huh.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's another feel good. I like
Yeah.
feel goods.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah.
Well,
I'm all about
especially
feel
when
good.
you're just like down in it, like you're doing the work, like you're providing and you are delivering, and then ultimately somebody on a bigger scale is like, hey,
right.
this little corner shop, I mean, it's tiny. You might miss it if you're driving by, but they're
yeah.
doing killer stuff.
I know, and I need to redo it. Everybody says it's so dark. So for the longest time, people were like, I thought you were an antique store. And I'm like, I know there's a couple of us in this shopping center.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's dark. But hey, I'm here. I'm hanging out.
People still find you.
Exactly.
And more people find you with word of mouth and things like this.
Yeah, I haven't been worried about it because I'm just...
You're busy enough.
Yeah, I'm rocking it. So yeah, I'm good.
I love it.
I'm good.
Yeah. May that continue for as many years as you enjoy doing it. And
thank you.
It seems like you really have the spirit for it and that you do really dig it. So.
Yeah, I like the drive. And I like that I'm in AC.
Yeah.
And I get to do every design, build, I get all
different
aspects.
all the time. Yeah.
It hits all. Yeah. It's not doing some other things, but those are other things I can do on my own time too.
Sure.
So I get everything's there.
Yeah. And you're using your skill set too, and it's not something that everybody has, and it's like
it's good.
Showing your strengths. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to me too. So it's good. Works out.
It's a two-way road, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, and
thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you around.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Hello APGD, a neighborhood podcast, is brought to you in part by Stardust Video and Coffee, Audubon Park's beloved neighborhood cafe, bakery, bar, and meeting place, located at 1842 East Winter Park Road. We're also sponsored by Red Light Brew Pub. Founded in 2005, Red Light is widely known as the source for world-class imports and microbrews, a wide selection of natural wines, plus award-winning beers brewed in-house. A full kitchen is in the works with an amazing menu by Chef Jess Tantalo. Located at 2810 Corinne Drive, please check out Red Light for all things beer and wine and soon food. Our theme song is by Christopher Pierce, and special thanks to Trey Hester for all of his help in making this podcast a reality. We do hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please click subscribe and leave a review if you'd like. We'll see you next time.